G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome to Suicidal Tendencies with Spitflyer. Yes, that's right, we're taking out the Brenus. So before I actually show you a good game, I'm going to show you an average game. So, maybe not average, maybe slightly above, because we're fully down-tiered. We've got the usual helicopter rush, and we get lucky. For some reason, this tank likes to lose its tracks. You know what? I'll take it. So, essentially in this game, I'm the only one pushing for the central cap on Fields of Normandy. Pretty dumb idea. I mean, I really should take some teammates with me, but, everyone has 2020 vision in retrospect, so use plenty of smoke and just hide behind the house, repair. I make a couple of really dumb mistakes, but this is pretty much the average match in the Brenus. If you're trying to not play at the back of the map. If you're trying to push up at all, you're going to end up in a situation like this, where your team has mysteriously disappeared, and you've got an M48, an M60, and an AH1 looking at you, thinking, tasty meal. Yeah. I don't know what happened with that pattern. I still don't know. I should have penned it. Anyway. All's well that ends well, I guess. Anyway. Welcome to the Brenus. It's probably the worst tank of the game. And when I say tank, I mean tracks, hull, turret, and like rifled gun. Not Type 60 ATM. Not Sture Emil, tank, MBT. And it happens to be the second best tank in the French tree, which says a lot about the French at high tier. Yeah, I'm thinking the video will be titled something like, Suicidal Tendencies are cool, but have you ever tried the Brenus? So, I'll make a few jokes about that. If you feel the need to, there should be some links down below if you need to talk to anyone. Or join a Discord. Plenty of good War Thunder community members. Anyway, onto the actual video. Onto the good match, we'll say. I'm taking pot shots at friendly helicopters because I really don't like them. I don't believe in the early spawn rush with helicopters. It 99% of the time doesn't work. This guy, however, got 2 kills, so I don't know why I'm shooting at him. I should be, thanking him in chat or something like that, not being so toxic. But, typical me. Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm pushing up the C flag, and essentially I'm trying to avoid urban brawls, because I know everyone else has a stabilizer. It's a mixed battle. There are warriors, there are T55 AM1s, there's God knows what else there is. It could be anything. They could be M60s. They could be BMPs. It's just too risky to take the tank into a city fight without a stabilizer. You have got a bit of armor to play with, but anything firing anything solid shot will go right through this. It's essentially a Leopard 1. Like, you think of the Leopard 1 pre-production that we have in the game at 7.7, which is a fantastic tank because it sits at 7.7, and it can face the T-29, Carnarvon, Centurion, whereas this thing fights T-64Bs. Of course, it gets a better shell to deal with them, but the fact that it doesn't have a stabilizer means that you can't play those aggressive fights like you can in a T-55 or even an M60 Rise, which used to share the same battle rating. Speaking of battle ratings, put this thing at 8.3 or 8.0. It will need it, and put the B2 down while you're at it. It's just not worth the trouble to play this tank, honestly. It's so bad that it made me tear my hair out, and I golded the parts FPE and the APA FSDS shell. Thank you, Gaijin, for the golden eagles. You saved my Okay, you saved a portion of my sanity. What I'm basically doing here now is pushing up with this M551. I thought, if the M551 can do some scouting for me and, be a good teammate, maybe I could... Oh, he's dead. I should never have trusted him. He might be a good player and just having a bad day, but yeah, there's something about it. You can just never trust your teammates, I guess. And I know he was taken out by an M48. There it is there. And yeah, that's my first kill of the match. Basically a spawn camp. So in order to get a kill, I've avoided city combat. I've basically pushed up to their spawn and killed someone as they leave their spawn. So this tank, in order to do well, you have to play with a couple of extra chromosomes up your sleeves. It's ridiculous. Look at where I am on the map, look at where my team is, and look at where the enemy team probably is. They're most likely along that what is it? I can't read it. It's essentially the long stretch of canyons and hills and cliffs, etc., that sits along that right-hand side of the map. I'm sure it should have a number. It looks like a 5 to me, but all I can see is pixels. Regardless, I'm not there. And I'm not pushing the caps either. I'm being a very great teammate, and I'm essentially getting them as they come out of their spawn, because there is just no other way to effectively get this tank to work unless you've got a super, super aggressive team and you can push with them. Or, alternatively, you can find that spot behind enemy lines, probably not as far back as me, but maybe to that rock that's a little bit closer to my spawn. So around the B point, there's some really nice rocks there that you can sort of make work. And you can support the team from there. Because this tank is just too rubbish to push the front lines. It's just forced into the support role. And if you think about it, historically, this tank was an export tank, and no one bought it. And in-game, whilst there may be some inaccuracies and some discrepancies and some things may not apply, you can quite clearly see why the AMX-30 didn't get any significant buyers. It's just not good enough. There's just so many flaws in this tank, meta-wise and battle rating-wise, that it's just not worth playing. It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous tank. I absolutely adore the tank itself. But when you get funny bounces off BMPs like that, you start to question your sanity, and you also start to question whether or not it was worth grinding the tank in the first place. But me shit-talking this tank isn't really going to fix anything. What realistically needs to happen is this tank needs a lower battle rating. And that should ease most of the pressure. If it goes to something like 8.3, I think I would personally be happy with that. Well, I think at that battle rating it'll see enough down tiers for its armor to actually be really, really nice. So it'll be quite effective at those lower tiers. So 7.3, you'll be facing maybe M47s. You'll probably come across BMP-1. You'll come across any number of allied tanks as well. You'll come across the RU-251 in an up tier. You'll come across more mouse tanks. The list is endless at the tanks that it can actually deal with effectively, but not so effectively that it's overpowered. So I think just a comfortable reduction to 8.3 would fix most of this tank's problems. It would still see the T64A, but the way that you have to play this tank is like a pre-production Leopard at 7.7. You've got to flank and spank. You've got to find those cheeky spots, I guess, and you've just got to go for it. This tank doesn't do well in city fights. Don't take it into cities. Just stick to a rock, stick to your team, and you should be fine. To some extent. You still need to go in and take the caps. It's probably never going to be a meta tank. It's probably never going to be the best tank in the battle rating. But what it will be is it will be a decent support tank that you can take with your lineup. Unlike its predecessor, the AMX 30, it's not going to get the same utility just because of that higher battle rating. And you're going to need to keep it at a higher battle rating just because of that ERA and that APFSDS. So far, I've unlocked about half of the modifications. I'm onto the engine, but already this tank is quite quick. So I'd imagine that the tank itself, when fully spaded, would be incredible. You'd have a lot more mobility and a lot more versatility in the tank, but you still wouldn't have that stabilizer. And at 8.7 and 9.7, that's just not going to work. So, yeah, ladies and gents, that's basically Suicidal Tendencies. Welcome to the AMX 30 Brenus, or the Benis as I like to call it, with the big block Mimi B. That's kind of cool. But it's a fun tank if you want a challenge. I'm always up for a challenge with War Thunder because I've put 4,000 hours into this game, so anything that's not the meta tends to excite me. And the Brenus, when I'm up for a challenge, I'll tend to go for that. Unfortunately, though, if you're getting up-tiered all the time, you start to tear your hair out, and quite literally tear your hair out. It's very, very frustrating. So, watch your matchmaker. If you're getting too many up-tiers, don't play it, and I mean that seriously. If you're looking for a good challenge, this might be the tank for you. Don't play it as autistically as me. Just chill out a little bit, you know. But, yeah. That's basically the AMX 30 Brenus. It's okay, but, you know, it could be better. Anyway, ladies and gents, take care, and I'll catch you next time.